This is another sign of the times, an analysis and a commentary. Israel-Gaza conflict, 2012. Palestinians erupted in triumphant celebrations in Gaza, vowing new unity among rival factions and a renewed commitment to the tactic of resistance, while Israel's leaders sought to soberly sell the achievements of their latest military operation to a domestic audience long skeptical of ceasefire deals. After 8 days of intense Israeli shelling from air and sea that killed 162 Gazans, including at least 30 militant commanders, and flattened many government buildings and private homes, people poured onto the bomb-blasted streets, beaming as they shopped and strolled under the shield of the ceasefire agreement. Despite the death and destruction, Hamas emerged emboldened, analysts said, not only because it had landed rockets near Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, but also from the unprecedented visits and support by Arab and Muslim leaders, potentially resetting the balance of power and tone in Palestinian politics, as leaders from various factions declared the peace process dead. There were neither celebrations nor significant protests across the border in Israel, where people in southern cities passed the first day in more than a week without constant sirens signaling incoming rockets, sending them to safe rooms. Instead, an uneasy, even grim calm set in. The fight against Hamas in Gaza, carried out by mostly missiles and planes, can be seen as a war game for what could happen if Israel moved to take out Iran's nuclear program, a much larger action that could result in both Hezbollah in Lebanon and Iran firing rockets toward Tel Aviv. And violent as it has been, one Israeli general described Hamas, when comparing its might to Hezbollah and Iran, as a raindrop in a storm. In other words, there's worse to come if Israel attacks Iran, much worse. Israel declares mission accomplished. Hamas claims victory. So what, if any, lessons did Israel learn that can be applied to Iran? The most obvious concerns the endurance of Israel's home front, which is simply a military dehumanizing term for the people. Verdict good. There were almost no complaints by the people that they had to spend so long in bomb shelters. Southern towns like Ashkelon and even Ashdod, closer to the center, were attacked about 150 times each in 7 days. That means the people rushed to their shelters as the sirens wailed, on average, 21 times a day. Yet despite the discomfort and fear, most people did not call for an end to Israel's assault on Gaza. They wanted it to last as long as necessary to stop all rockets from Gaza in the future. Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, Israel's homemade anti-rocket missile system, Israel's key defense against rockets from Gaza, prevented carnage. Verdict very good, with an official hit rate of 84%. According to Israeli army figures, militants in Gaza fired 1,506 rockets at Israel in 8 days. 875 fell harmlessly into open areas like fields and the sea. The Iron Dome is programmed to let those alone and to intercept only rockets that would hit urban areas. Iron Dome intercepted 421 rockets, and 58 rockets actually got through, killing 3 civilians and wounding about 100 more, mostly lightly. The small number of casualties was because a few people did not use Israel's second defense layer, the bomb shelters. Verdict, very good. Nobody in a shelter was hurt. The 3 killed did not do as they were advised and stood on their balcony watching the action. But while the world has been watching the war in the south, the threat from the north is much bigger. Israeli intelligence sources say Hamas and partners in Gaza had 10,000 rockets. Hezbollah in South Lebanon has between 100,000 and 200,000, including longer-range rockets that carry heavier explosive warheads, according to Israeli military analysts. The Iron Dome could be effective against several fired at the same time, and even a dozen or two. But if hundreds of long-range rockets are fired, for instance, at Israel's largest population center, Tel Aviv, it's almost guaranteed that many would get through, causing chaos, heavy damage, and possible casualties. Israel needs America. How long could the home front or the people withstand such an onslaught, especially if compounded by rockets from Iran? The answer is not clear, but what is clear is that such an attack from Lebanon would provoke instant and massive Israeli retaliation. That leads to another lesson, or rather byproduct, of the assault on Hamas. Hamas may already be eliminated from the equation of a post-Iran strike. When Hamas fight for Iran after the punishment it received in the past week and the depletion of its rocket supply and rocket manufacturing ability, more likely is that Islamic Jihad, which is armed, trained, and financed by Tehran, would fire its rockets at Israel, even if Hamas tried to stop them. So, another lesson for Israel: take out Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and that could lead to conflict with Hamas anyway. But as political and military leaders here analyze the results and lessons, the clearest lesson is probably this, and it is hardly new: Israel needs the United States. It was President Barack Obama who insisted on a ceasefire, who called Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi 3 times in 24 hours, and who had several calls with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, shepherding both through the difficult process of reaching an agreement. The fact is, Israel could not have carried out an invasion of Gaza without Washington's support. And, as President Obama made clear in his talks with Netanyahu, the United States prefers no ground invasion, and Israel agreed. So, at the moment, Israel has Western support for the latest action in Gaza. This support could evaporate if it decided unilaterally to invade Gaza. In other words, more wars and rumors of wars. And this too is another sign of the end of times, as we know them, transition days, which is a time of extraordinary happenings, events, and changes. Because, again, it's about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations? And that should be a very important question to ask. Mark chapter 13, verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. 8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Revelation chapter 16, verse 8. And the 4th angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch humans with fire. 9. And humans were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom, or nation, was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. 11. And blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings and leaders of the east might be prepared. 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. 14. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings and leaders of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. It's time for prophecy to be fulfilled. Everything is connected, and everything is numbered, and all these are more signs.